So hello, this is Ozzy from CommonWisdom, and I'd like to talk to you about startup decisions and especially the people factors. So essentially, a business is only successful if it can make the right decisions and has a good principle, a good quality of decision making. At the end of the day, if a business is not making high quality decisions, it is going to fail either one way or the other. When we look at the types of decisions businesses, especially startups that are growing very rapidly in the technology age make, we see a certain pattern. So some of these decisions are about the product, finding the product market fit, creating the minimum viable product MVP by listening to the consumer base and getting high quality feedback from them. Another topic of discussion is about distribution. So distribution is essentially, even though you have a good product, if it does not meet with the consumers, it creates no value. So distribution, including all the efforts that go under marketing, but also including the efforts that go into making the product available for purchase and then for delivery, are an essential domain of the business. These are all important. But I think if we are talking about growing a business bigger than a certain size, then it becomes more about the people. It's not just to mystify things or say people are the most important things in a business and take a humanistic approach here. No, it's not about that. It is essentially a very down-to-earth way of looking at a business and what makes it successful. So if you look at the business as a whole, it is about decreasing complexity and making good decisions in all areas of the business. And these complexities are especially tricky to master and tricky to solve in the domain of people. This is especially because people themselves are very chaotic creatures, and because they act in even funnier and more weird ways when they interact with each other. So it's really hard to foresee as a variable what one person is going to do, and it's even harder to foresee what quite a few people coming together in under a setting will do. So this is what makes the people aspect of a business the most complex of all. As with anything, the best chance we have for increasing the quality of decisions under this domain is to use the right heuristics, the right rules of thumb, the right principles. The other way, the alternative way of achieving a better understanding, a better way of making decisions, is to understand the whole literature, psychology, the human behavior behind that. But it's just a very long route to understand all the human psychology, the variables that make up the behaviors people display. The much easier way and the more practical way is to understand some principles, some rules, some heuristics about how to make decisions regarding people in the setup of a company. So this is the exact reason why I chose to write Startups Grow with People as a book. It is made up of 3 sections, and the first is about how to pick the right partner, the right co-founder for the business. The second part is about how to pick the right talent, how to recruit the top people for your business, for your startup. And the third part is actually the most complex one, which is about building a culture that is sustainable, that creates growth and value for the business by ensuring both the employee and employer satisfaction. So let's take a look at some of the ideas that are central to picking a good partner in the background of a startup. First of all, a good partner has to have the life design that fits being in a startup. This means he or she can spare the time, energy, focus, and especially the finances required. However well intended your partner might be, if they do not have these resources to spare for the business, that means they don't have the right life design to fit being in a startup. So a startup grows at a very fast pace. It grows rapidly. So it is very intensive on your resources. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of energy. So if you don't have those, if you have a full-time job, if you are trying to look after children at the same time, if you are running separate businesses, it is really hard to run a startup. It's not impossible, but it's just really hard, and this needs to be discussed with your co-founder, potential partner. the amount of time and energy you're going to put into the business. And if there's a mismatch here, then it's going to spell a lot of big problems down in the road. So it's a very good idea to make sure both you and your partner has the right life design that fits being in a startup. The second principle, the second heuristic is that a good partner shares the problem. He or she sees the world in the same unique way. They don't have to share the ideal solution for that problem word by word. There is room for disagreement here, and that disagreement is potentially very fruitful because it's going to create new ideas and new areas of discussion. But the main thing is you have to be aligned on what the problem is regarding the future, regarding what you are trying to solve. Let's think of a quick example here. You're thinking because people are using applications in a very different way, and because they have a limited capacity in their mobile devices, both in terms of hardware capacity, in terms of gigabytes storage space, and because they don't want to have, there's a certain limit to the number of apps that people would install in their phones. And this is probably not more than 20 or 30. So there's a natural occurring limit here. So this is a problem because there are a lot of new businesses that are trying to come up with new ideas and get new customers on board. So if you agreed on this problem, then you could start working on an idea. But it's important that you and your partner share the problem. If the partner does not see this as a problem, he or she conceptualizes this in a radically different way, then it's best to look up some other areas of alignment that you see problems in. Because if you are misaligned on what the problem is, then it's going to be really hard down the road to agree on potential solutions. So the third heuristic, the third principle is that a good partner has to have the depth of knowledge on at least one topic that's closely related to the startup. So if your partner is a very good cricket player, that's good. But if that business does not have anything to do with that, then it's not really useful. But on the other end, consider a scenario where your partner is one of the leading people in understanding the medical technology, let's say. And if you are creating a startup that has to do with medical device equipment production or solving some problem related to that, then that depth of expertise in that area is going to be very fruitful, is going to be very valuable in the next phases of your business. So it's best if both partners have different areas of in-depth knowledge so they can complement each other, and you find yourself learning new things from your partner in each encounter. So another idea, the fourth heuristic, the fourth principle that you need to take a look at when deciding on a co-founder is a good partner values good execution over genius ideas. He or she knows that success at the end of the road is more dependent on doing hard work, and it's more about the team's problem solving and execution capacity rather than the ingenuity of their ideas. The most tiring thing in a startup is a partner who constantly comes up with new ideas but does not follow them through. A good partner really values good execution over the ingenuity of ideas. This is simply because coming up with ideas are great fun. You imagine the future, you imagine happy customers, happy investors, success, having changed the world, making an impact. So it's very rewarding. It is simply like telling yourself you are going to get fit in the next year. You are going to quit smoking, you are going to eat more healthy, you are going to take up regular exercise. So these are all very good goals as the ideas are good ideas. But the real benefit comes, the real life-changing effect comes when you actually execute on these ideas, where you actually pay the price in blood, sweat and tears and in effort. So there's a lot of effort to be put into place to turn these ideas into reality, and your partner needs to understand that. He or she needs to have internalized this understanding. The fifth heuristic is that a good partner focuses on increasing the quality of decisions and honestly prefers to that end to reaching better business decisions rather than simply feeling right or being right. You might have experienced this. In conversation, some people value being right no matter the cost. Of course, being right feels good. In the same way as creating new ideas does, being right feels good. It just fires up the chemical reward mechanisms in the brain, and that's very fun. But saying that I was not wrong here, I was not right here, accepting you're wrong, or simply accepting that okay, there is a better way of looking at this than how I have been looking at it, takes some maturity. It takes guts, but it is really important if you are going to make sure that you are in a business that has a high potential to succeed. This is simply because the decisions you are going to make in a startup, especially if you are trying to grow it at an exponential rate, these decisions are really hard decisions, and they are complex. There are a lot of different variables. And you can be 100% sure that you are not going to be seeing the big picture in every case. You are going to be missing some details. You are going to have a limited understanding of some of the subdomains and subtopics of the business and regarding the decisions you are trying to make. So it's really a very good thing if you have a partner that can correct you, that can take that matter in a scientific objectivity and simply agree on you that what you are trying to do is not boasting in your successes or making the other person feel bad because they have made a wrong decision or they were simply wrong, but both parties should agree that the ideal scenario is not being right but making higher quality decisions. So the sixth principle is a good partner listens to you. A good partner is so simply think of people in a scale. At one end of this scale are the people who are very good at listening. They're active listeners. They engage. They ask questions. They think actively about what you are saying and try to create mental models and concepts, and then they respond to you, trying to gather a better understanding of the topic. But on the whole other end of the spectrum, there are those people who are chronically opposed. They are simply unable to listen actively. They are impatient. They care 100 times more about getting their own point across. They already think they know what you are going to say, and they are closed to learning. So if you are getting the indication that your potential partner can be in the other end of the spectrum, simply in the chronically non-listener part of that spectrum, stay away from them, because it's going to be impossible to build a business with them, let alone have a conversation where you learn or where you have the potential to change the other person's idea. Good partners should be open to learning from you and enjoy discussing ideas even when their direct merit and direct impact on the business is not apparent, because in many cases the merit of the idea is realized later down the road. The seventh heuristic, the principle when picking the right partner, right co-founder, is a good partner is intrinsically motivated. He or she follows up on her tasks without external reminders and volunteers for open tasks. This is in line with giving the right weight to execution, but is nuanced in a way, because a partner can theoretically think that execution is very important, but yet still be struggling with self-motivation to actually follow up on the tasks and complete them and volunteer for new tasks. So the ideal partner needs to be intrinsically motivated, needs to have very good time management skills, needs to have his or her productivity hacks, and use them in the right way for the benefit of the business. If this is not the case, then you are going to be spending a lot of time not simply doing and executing your own tasks, but for the motivation and for the firing up of your partner to do those new tasks, and it's going to take a toll on you in the long term, and it's going to prove impossible after a certain time. And the final but a very important heuristic principle when picking a right co-founder is that a good partner is a lifelong learner. A good partner sees the big picture. A good partner values design thinking. He or she is quick to grasp abstract concepts and can change her ideas when presented with the right data. Lifelong learning is one of the most important skills. It's not even a skill, it's a philosophy, it's a way of looking at life. And it's not just about the way to grow a startup. It's not just about the way to find the right partner. It's just the best way to live life. That's it, full stop. It's just a very good way to live life, being a lifelong learner, and to actually experience the joy of learning, the pleasure of finding things out, as Richard Feynman likes to say. At this point, while I'm recording this audio, there's a book across the desk looking at me, and it's the Richard Feynman book. Surely you are joking, Mr. Feynman. And there is a lot of things to be learned from that book and from the philosophy of Feynman as well. It is just simply about following your curiosity, learning, having the excitable character and that childish curiosity of learning new things and finding new things out. So good startup founders have that intrinsic quality. They really enjoy learning new stuff. They really enjoy finding things out, learning new technologies. They are very curious. They like meeting new people. They like discovering new applications, new technologies, etc., etc. And this is very important because it is really hard to see the direct effect of a certain new information that you internalize until the time for the purpose of that information comes. So if you are looking at what you learn in a very pragmatic way, then it is going to be very challenging for you to engage your creativity in full thrust. And the second thing is, if a partner is a lifelong learner, then it's going to be much easier to communicate and move the business forward. And this is possibly the final point I'm going to make, and still possibly one of the most important ones. A startup is characteristically a business, an entity that learns. A startup learns just like the people in itself. A startup learns from its mistakes. It makes A and B tests, learns from these results. It tries to come up with a product, but it doesn't work, so it has to pivot, and it learns from that. It goes out to the customers and beta testers and listens to their feedback and learns from those as well. So a startup is essentially a business that learns. So naturally, the co-founders, the partners of that business, have to be lifelong learners. Possibly there are other ideas, there are other heuristics that can be included, that can be used, that can be utilized to make better people decisions, better partnering and picking co-founder decisions in the context of startups. But I find these 8 to be the most impactful, the most important ones. I have been working around understanding human behavior for the last 12 years, and I have been working with startups for the last 3 or 4 years. So what I see, although it is an incomplete picture, comes from what I know about both people and both startups, and I'm trying to understand better and interpret the intersection point of both of these domains of knowledge. And I'll be going on that venture further, and we'll be sharing what I have been gathering, what I find out in the future as well. So make sure you follow CommonWisdom.co, the YouTube channel, the other accounts including Twitter as well, and feel free to get in touch with me. I'm very open to communicating. Some of the best contents I have created actually came from the questions and comments of the listeners, the viewers, and the audience in general. So I'd really love to find more about what you think, and I'd really like to find out what you think is really important, are the topics that needs to be discussed around people and startups. So that's it. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and I'll see you in the next one.